how Battlefront 2 was changed from a crappy loot box scandal to now actually good in the last like year and a couple months. It has changed a lot, and here's going to be my retrospective. So, yeah, and I am going to use slides. The old Battlefront 2 was just a piece of hot garbage. Literally, here's a synopsis of it. You would buy loot boxes to get things to level up your classes and heroes, and some of those star cards would give you an advantage over other players, like Bounty Hunter, that increases your battle points freaking gain, so you could actually become a hero faster than other people without that star card on. Then there's other things to increase your damage of grenades, to make it so you can throw different types of grenades, make it so you can have different weapons too, so you can switch out to be having a scout pistol and do some extra damage when you overheat your gun, which is something that they can't do if you don't have that star card on. And giving you things like increased duration to things so that you can't die, so that you can not die as fast as to grenades or smoke grenades. So those things would literally qualify it as pay to win. And DICE didn't know how to put in loot boxes because all EA told them was put in loot boxes into a game, and they decided, you know what, let's do a pay to win system to where you buy things and you get more points for it. Not to mention, they actually put in salvage into the thing too, so therefore allowing you to upgrade your star cards. So if you got enough salvage, you could upgrade your star card that allows you to get extra point gain to maximum while you're freaking not doing anything and you're just getting heroes left and right. So literally that was it. That was basically the whole synopsis. Everything costed money to gain. It costed you salvage to put on little parts to your weapons. So literally, if you wanted to burst fire onto your actual sniper rifle, onto your third sniper rifle, then that would cost actual salvage, which you could be using to increase your star cards, which was annoying. And not to mention, they would overprice heroes like Luke and Vader to 15,000 credits, and you would normally get like 100 credits per every match, so you would have to play like 15, like 100, like 50. Literally, you have to play 150 games just to get a single hero, pretty much. And if you want to get all the heroes, you would have to do it that way. So literally, they basically made it so that everyone, you just had to pay for them. So it wasn't a good system at all. And not to mention, you would have people running around with the guns weren't really that too good balance wise. There would be a burst fire sniper rifle that would immediately dominate. The E4 would dominate. The burst fire weapons would just dominate. And the blur was god tier. You literally couldn't do a thing about it. If you got anywhere close to it with anything, you would just die immediately. It wasn't a good system. You would just die every single second because some dickhead with a blur was in the background of the map with explosive shot, and also increase coolant charge so you can actually fire more, so you would be able to fire explosive shots while firing more, which would just immediately dominate anyone and everything. And not to mention, there was basically only the 3 prequel maps. There wasn't any other ones, and they all just basically had just the Wookiees running around dominating, because the Wookiees were the most strongest part in the entire game. The Wookiees were stronger than everything. Like, you could immediately get dominated by a Wookiee warrior when you're playing as a hero, because the Wookiees were so overpowered back then, which brought the game experience down a lot. No one wanted to play it because you would just get immediately dominated. Oh, then that was basically it. It was literally just bad, not fun to play with usually. Not to mention that they took out, like, the most favorite part about the last game is that they had customization. They become alien species, and we only got those like a couple months down the line, like 9 months down the line. It was literally that long. It took them 9 months to put in skins that were already in the game, in the game files and in the game to begin with. So literally, they weren't really keeping all the players together because people really wanted customization from this game. Yet the only things that you had for customization were literally two heroes, and that was Rey and frickin' Kylo Ren. No one else had customization. No one did. Literally, only Rey and Kylo had customization. No classes had customization. You couldn't change your skin to be not a genuine, not just a default white guy. So literally, there was no customization in the beginning of the game, other than putting on your own star cards that you want to play with, that you had to pay for. And then other than the blasters, which you would get through actually working through them. It really, literally, so that was the only customization. You being able to put on a weapon from the First Order with the frickin' with the frickin' clones. That was literally all customization. Everyone was defaults. No one was actually setting themselves apart because you couldn't change outfits. And literally almost all the heroes sucked. Boba Fett, he was good at the start of the game, although they nerfed him down immediately and he never saw the light of day again until a month ago. Freaking Darth Vader was good, but not as good as he was, not as good as he is now, because Darth Vader can now choke people off of ledges. He would choke and you couldn't move. And then plus, they still had that glitch where for both those heroes, if you use the abilities, you would get stuck in them. Darth Vader, you use your choke and you get stuck in the choke, so you're just slowly wandering. You can't even do anything because you're holding your arm like an idiot. Oh, and Boba Fett, you would get sudden lag spike and you couldn't use your jetpack ever again. That entire game. So, and then other characters like Emperor Palpatine were god tier. Freaking Rey was god tier. Everyone besides like characters like Luke were god tier. Bosk was really good. Iden was trash. Frickin'. And by that time we got the two other heroes, Finn and Phasma, they were both kinda garbage. Finn was at least somewhat decent. Phasma straight up sucked. Frickin'. Oh, and every other character that couldn't block sucked except for Yoda, because Yoda could at least block shots. Darth Maul couldn't, so he would just be sitting there around dashing. But even then, he was still really good if you knew how to play him. But that's basically it, because it was just like, if you were good with the heroes, that's the only way that they could be good in some circumstances. But the other heroes like Palpatine, Rey, Vader, you didn't need to be good to use them. You just literally had to just spam, and then you would pretty much just win. Same with Kylo Ren. He was somewhat decent at the start of the game, but he was harder to play than most people. So then that was good, because he wasn't that easy to play, making it so that he had an actually challenging level. All the gun heroes were god tier, almost, except for freaking Phasma and Iden. They were all good, especially the Wookiee. So with the new Battlefront 2, they actually fixed a lot of things. They fixed the progression system to where you didn't have to buy loot boxes, since EA backed off because of Disney telling them to. So they made the game a lot better. They actually added in a customization for characters for the frickin' Rebel Alliance and the Resistance, and they also added in a lot of other customization for the officers for all the different factions. no customization for the clones yet, and then no customization for First Order or the the droids or the Imperials. There was no customization for those guys whatsoever. We were still waiting for that. But they did add in a lot more skins for heroes. They added in Leia's frickin' Hoth and frickin' Endor skin. Oh, then later down the line they added in the Bausch skin for her. And then now they added in the Princess from New Hope. They've added in a lot of other skins for characters like Lando, Han and Lando. A lot of those, mainly those two. But then they added in like a couple skins for the dark side. They added in another skin for Kylo and another skin for Rey. But then they added in like a couple other skins for other heroes. For Iden, so she can actually take off her helmet. Should have been in the game to begin with, but then they finally added in like the alien customization later down the line a little bit. So they actually kind of listened to what we were wanting from the game. And then they fixed a lot of other bugs to where the Wookiees weren't as god tier. They still are god tier. Even to this day, they're still god tier. But they nerfed them a lot. Like a lot. Like super nerfed. But they still need to work on that. But then they released a trailer for the Geonosis trailer, and they basically said on like E3 they were doing that we were gonna get General Grievous, Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Count Dooku, and also Geonosis. And we got those. The first hero that we got was General Grievous, the buggiest mess in the entire game at that point in time. Literally, he is worse now than he was released. Like, literally, he is more buggy now than he was released. And, yeah, they didn't really do too well. But he was buggy. Then the next month, when they released Obi-Wan, they fixed Grievous with Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan was good. Maybe a little bit on the overpowered side. But then they nerfed Obi-Wan a little bit to make him so that he's not as overpowered. Then they nerfed Grievous. And you see a pattern in the next 5 months. They kept nerfing Grievous like every single day. They were like, yeah, his thrust surge is too good. Let's make it so that he just spins around in circles more like a retard now, and it happens more often. That's basically what they did. And then later, and then a little bit with Obi-Wan being released, they released Geonosis. And like a couple months later, they released Count Dooku. And Count Dooku, he was good when he was released, and he was fun. And they released a whole lot of customization for the clones when they were doing that. And the one thing that people wanted was the Scout Troopers for the 41st. When they said that they were going to release 41st customization, everyone was thinking the Scout Troopers. But no, they just copy and pasted a Google image search of camouflage and just stuck it right onto the Clone Troopers' normal armor, which was added hilarious and also trash. But then we were waiting, because we got confirmed at E3 that we were gonna get a Conquest game mode. And we were waiting for it for like 3 months after Count Dooku's release, because we were waiting for Anakin to be released with it. But no, Anakin was released like a month before that, though. And so then we were waiting for Capital Supremacy to be released. And coming with Capital Supremacy, they released 2 infiltrators, a new class, new infiltrator, a new reinforcement. The infiltrators were brought with the droid commandos, commando droids of 5 blue blades, then ARC troopers, the first dual-wielding class in any DICE game, or first dual-wielding at all in any DICE game. And added with Capital Supremacy, they added in Geonosis, which was a completely new map, to Capital Supremacy. It wasn't just a reshell. Then like a month later, they reshinned freaking Kashyyyk into Capital Supremacy. Same with Camino, and then same with freaking Theed. But Theed was actually good because they added in a lot more stuff. Then when they were adding in Theed, they added in with that, first of all, droidicas, and then they added in a tank. Then they added in a skin for Anakin Skywalker to where he's in his Clone Wars armor, but they released the same Clone Wars armor for Obi-Wan Kenobi for December, so people were wanting it. People were wanting Anakin's Clone Wars appearance for months, and Ty said, "Nah, we weren't planning on it. I don't know why we gave you this skin for Obi-Wan Kenobi and not expected you to want Anakin's skin, but we did it anyways." Then with that update, they also released 2 skins for the clones. The 41st Scout Division and the 212th Recon Division. You see the Recon Division, otherwise known as the ARF Troopers, usually on Geonosis in their camouflage. And that was cool. And now that brings us to today. Right now. This game is buggy as hell because everything is not working as it's intended to. More bugs have surfaced now. Like the Grievous spinning wrist glitch, but even that doesn't really harm your performance, it's just funny. But the other bugs that just like your block is broken just by a simple swing, then you could get pushed off the edge when you were blocking, facing directly at them, yet the game didn't realize it. Then the hit detection is god awful right now. Because you can be across the entire map dashing away from an Anakin, yet the Anakin can still hit you even though he missed. And you can die because of how much damage Anakin just purely does, just straight off. Then you'll get other glitches like Maul throwing his lightsaber, where his lightsaber just stays floating in the sky endlessly, and you don't get your lightsaber back until you throw it again. And then it will just magically appear in your hands, which is hilarious. But everything else, there's a lot of other bugs that I can't even mention because there's so many of them. There's literally too many of them to where I can't even mention them. You sound like the opposite, where there's so few you can't mention them. But it's just like, that's the complete opposite right now. But the main parts that we need to know right now is, if you're a new player, should you buy Battlefront 2 right now? And I would say yes. It's fun now. Not everything's pay to win. Not everything, actually. But it's fun now, somewhat, if you're not getting just absolutely destroyed by everything. Just by glitches. And then everything else works pretty much as intended, except for Grievous. So, yeah, just buy the game if you don't know if you want to play Battlefront 2. Buy it. And now it's like, what, $11? So, yeah, it's probably the best time to buy it now. Either that or buy Rainbow Six Siege, which is also $11. I don't know, do whatever you want, it's your money.